April 4th. Every date on the calendar carries stories that shaped the world. Some days pass quietly. Others become turning points that influence nations, technology, and the lives of millions of people. April 4th is one of those days. Across centuries, events connected to this date have reshaped politics, transformed technology, inspired movements for justice, and even pushed humanity further into space. But before we reach the end of this story, there is one fascinating connection tied to this date that many people never realize. So stay with me until the end of the video, because one of the most surprising moments connected to April 4th might completely change how you look at this single day in history. And while you watch, take a moment to like the video and let me know in the comments if you already knew any of these events happened on this same date. History becomes even more interesting when we discover how many moments are hidden behind a single page on the calendar. To understand that connection, we begin in the late 1960s. The year was 1968. The United States was experiencing one of the most turbulent periods in its modern history. The civil rights movement had already transformed the nation in profound ways. For decades, African Americans had faced discrimination, segregation, and unequal treatment under the law. In response, activists across the country organized protests, boycotts, and marches demanding equality and justice. At the center of that movement stood one of the most influential leaders of the 20th century, Martin Luther King Jr. King had become internationally known for his powerful speeches and his unwavering commitment to nonviolent resistance. Inspired by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, he believed that peaceful protest could challenge injustice and force society to confront discrimination. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, he helped lead major campaigns for civil rights. The Montgomery bus boycott, the Birmingham campaign, and the historic March on Washington in 1963. During that march, he delivered a speech that would echo through history. His words painted a vision of a future where people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Even today, those words continue to inspire people across the world. But the struggle for civil rights was not easy. Many activists faced threats, arrests, and violence. Opposition to the movement remained strong in many parts of the country. Despite these dangers, King continued to speak out against injustice, poverty, and inequality. By 1968, he had begun focusing not only on civil rights, but also on economic justice. That year, he traveled to Memphis, Tennessee. The city was experiencing a labor dispute involving sanitation workers. Many of these workers were African American. They were demanding fair wages, safer working conditions, and recognition of their union. King came to Memphis to support their cause and to emphasize the connection between civil rights and economic opportunity. On April 4th, 1968, he was staying at the Lorraine Motel. That evening, he stepped onto the balcony outside his room. Moments later, a gunshot rang out. Martin Luther King Jr. was struck by a sniper's bullet. He was rushed to the hospital, but doctors were unable to save him. He was only 39 years old. News of his assassination spread quickly. Television and radio broadcasts interrupted regular programming. Newspapers around the world printed the tragic headlines. Across the United States, people reacted with shock, grief, and anger. For many Americans, it felt as though a powerful voice for justice had been suddenly silenced. In more than 100 cities, protests and unrest erupted. Communities mourned the loss of a leader who had symbolized hope for peaceful change. Yet even after his death, Martin Luther King Jr.'s message did not disappear. His speeches continued to inspire movements for civil rights, equality, and social justice around the world. His legacy remains one of the most powerful reminders that peaceful leadership can change history. But April 4th is connected to another historic moment that occurred nearly 2 decades earlier. A moment that would shape international politics for generations. And this next event helped shape the global balance of power for the rest of the 20th century. The year was 1949. The world was still recovering from the devastation of the Second World War. Cities across Europe had been reduced to rubble. Millions of people were rebuilding their lives after years of conflict. At the same time, new political tensions were beginning to emerge. 2 major global powers were rising in influence: the United States and the Soviet Union. Their competing political systems and strategic interests created a growing rivalry that soon became known as the Cold War. Western European nations feared the possibility of further conflict. They also worried about political instability spreading across the continent. To address these concerns, leaders from several countries began discussing the creation of a collective defense alliance. The goal was simple but powerful. If one country were attacked, the others would come to its defense. On April 4, 1949, representatives from 12 nations gathered in Washington, D.C. They signed a treaty that officially created the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. The founding members included the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Portugal, Iceland, and Luxembourg. At the heart of the agreement was a principle known as collective security. It stated that an attack against one member would be considered an attack against all. This commitment formed the foundation of NATO's defense strategy. Over time, additional countries joined the alliance. As the Cold War unfolded, NATO became one of the most important military alliances in the world. Its influence extended beyond defense. It also strengthened cooperation between nations that shared political and economic interests. Today, decades later, NATO still plays a major role in global security. Now here is where the story becomes even more interesting. Because April 4th is not only linked to world politics and civil rights, it is also connected to one of the most important technological revolutions in modern history. And this next moment would quietly shape the digital world that billions of people use every day. The year was 1975. Two young programmers shared a bold vision about the future. Their names were Bill Gates and Paul Allen. At that time, computers were enormous machines used mainly by governments, universities, and large corporations. Most people had never touched a computer, but Gates and Allen believed something revolutionary. They believed that one day computers would exist in ordinary homes. On April 4th, 1975, they founded a company called Microsoft. At first, the company focused on writing software for early microcomputers. One of their first successes involved developing software for a computer called the Altair 8800. As personal computers began appearing in homes and offices during the 1980s, Microsoft's influence grew rapidly. The company created operating systems that allowed users to interact with computers more easily. One of those systems became known as Microsoft Windows. Over time, Windows became one of the most widely used operating systems in the world. Microsoft also created software programs like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. These tools became essential for businesses, schools, and individuals. What began as a small startup eventually grew into one of the most powerful technology companies in history. And the digital tools we rely on today trace part of their origins back to that single decision made on April 4th, 1975. But the story of this day is still not finished, because April 4th is also connected to humanity's journey beyond Earth. And this next event pushed human exploration farther into the solar system. In 1973, NASA launched a spacecraft called Pioneer 11. Its mission was ambitious. Scientists wanted to explore the outer planets of the solar system. At the time, very little was known about these distant worlds. The spacecraft traveled millions of kilometers through space, collecting scientific data along the way. In 1979, Pioneer 11 achieved a historic milestone. It became the first spacecraft to fly past the planet Saturn. During its journey, it sent back images and measurements that helped scientists better understand the planet's rings, atmosphere, and magnetic field. After completing its mission, Pioneer 11 continued traveling outward into deep space. Attached to the spacecraft is a small metal plaque. The plaque contains symbolic images representing humanity and our location in the galaxy. It was designed as a message in case any intelligent life ever discovers the spacecraft in the distant future. Even today, Pioneer 11 continues its silent journey through the darkness of space. Now, when we step back and look at April 4th across history, a remarkable pattern appears. A civil rights leader whose voice changed a nation. An international alliance formed to protect countries during a tense era of global politics. A small technology company that helped launch the digital age. And a spacecraft sent into the unknown reaches of the solar system. Each of these moments belongs to a completely different chapter of human history. Yet all are connected to the same day on the calendar. History is not shaped only by wars or powerful leaders. It is shaped by bold ideas, by innovation, by discoveries, and sometimes by moments that challenge societies to change. Every day holds stories like these, moments that influence economies, inspire exploration, transform technology, and spark curiosity for generations. And April 4th is a perfect reminder of how a single day can connect events across centuries. Because every single day has a story. On this day, a civil rights leader's legacy shook the world. On this day, nations united to defend one another. On this day, a small company began building the digital future. And on this day, humanity pushed farther into space. Through moments like these, history quietly moves forward. And every date on the calendar holds discoveries waiting to be explored. If you enjoyed learning these stories, don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who loves history. And tell me in the comments which event surprised you the most. And if you want to know what happened in history every single day, subscribe.